Am I the asshole for telling my flatmate her boyfriend can't basically live with us rent-free? Me, 19 female, and my flatmate, 22 female, have been living together for nearly a year. It was all fine until like 3 months ago when her boyfriend started staying over more. At first it was just weekends, now it's basically every night. He eats our food, uses our stuff like electric, gas etc. and takes up the bathroom forever, but he doesn't pay a single penny. I asked her if he could maybe pay towards bills or at least not be here every single night. She got super defensive and said I was being petty and jealous? Like babes what? Now things are awkward and she's super blunt with me. Am I actually being an asshole for not wanting a third roommate who pays nothing? Until you sort out what your lease allows, I'd separate the food and if needed, lock you up. If it's feasible, get your own little refrigerator and keep it in your room. Look at your utility bills SND, compare the usage change. Not the asshole, and this isn't fair to you since you didn't sign up for a third flatmate. Not the asshole. My girlfriend used to come over and my roommates wanted her to pay a share of the lease. Difference was she would go home to sleep, eat, and shower. They didn't care about any of that and tried to squeeze me. Your situation is totally different. He moved in. Be petty and move in a friend. Anyone will do. Just for a week. See if you can make it so uncomfortable that they stay at his place. Not the asshole. In this economy, you can't afford to freely house your roommate's partner for nothing. Is there anything in your lease agreement about visitors? It'd be good to bring that up, as most companies nowadays don't allow non-residents to stay more than a few days a month. Not the asshole. Either she stays at his place 50% of the time to even things up, or everything gets split 3 ways, simple as. It may be worth checking the terms of your lease as well, as there may be limits on guests. Even then, I would be breaking lease, not renewing ASAP. To be honest, I would never want to live in a 2-version-1 situation. I own my house, well, the bank does, and I wouldn't care if my roommate was paying everything. I wouldn't allow them to move someone else in. Not the asshole. It's totally fair to expect someone practically living there to contribute. Her getting defensive doesn't make your request unreasonable. Am I the asshole for refusing to settle outside of insurance after someone ran a red light and hit my car? Just like the title says, a driver ran a red light just as mine turned green, which caused me to hit their car. I immediately pulled over to the side of the road to avoid blocking traffic and called the police. During that time, the other driver left the scene. When the police arrived, I gave them my statement. They told me they would try to identify the other driver using traffic cams, but couldn't make any promises. Since I had no contact or insurance info for the other party, I filed a claim with my own insurance to get my car fixed. The damages came out to about $2,500, and I also had to pay a deductible. A few days later, the police were able to identify the driver and shared my contact info with them. Almost immediately, I got texts and calls from the person asking me not to go through insurance because it would make their rates skyrocket. I was honestly shocked. They made no attempt to reach out before getting caught, and had they not been identified, I would have been left to deal with the full cost on my own. I told them I wasn't comfortable handling this outside of insurance. The accident, the damage, and the fact that they fled the scene all made me feel like this needs to be handled formally. I later found out from the police report that they're in their early 20s. Maybe it was a mistake or panic, but it doesn't change what happened. Am I the asshole for refusing to settle outside of insurance, even though it might hurt their insurance? Edit. Thank you everyone for all of your comments. I have decided to follow the insurance path because this person is a stranger and made their choice to leave. I'm sure consequences are coming his way. Had the exact same thing happen to me. Insist that the police charge him with leaving the scene of an accident. You'll have to go to court to testify to ensure a conviction. If you're out of pocket for anything, tell the judge during the victim impact statement. This guy already tried to screw you by running. Nail him. Obviously you would be crazy to trust this guy to settle outside of insurance. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. They left the scene. They have no right to ask for anything. If they haven't been arrested and aren't facing felony charges, they're lucky. Not the asshole. I got texts and calls from the person asking me not to go through insurance because it would make their rates skyrocket. #good. People who run red lights shouldn't be driving at all. In a just world, that would disqualify them from driving for life. If it takes prohibitively high insurance rates to keep them off the road, so be it. Not the asshole. Bet someone's driving with no insurance. If they wanted to beg to not go through insurance, they should have done so right after they hit you, but they chose to speed off instead. So let me get this straight. They fled the scene and didn't exchange contact info, seemingly didn't come forward to the police about it until after they were caught, and now are begging you to not go through insurance? They had several opportunities to attempt to do so in good faith. They avoided all of them until it was too late. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for canceling on my friend after she wouldn't pay for our lunch? I 16F and my friend 17F. Let's call her D, have been friends for about 3 years. We are very close and hang out outside of school very frequently. We agreed to meet each other for a couple hours to study for our AP test. For context, every month my parents give me $100,200 on a credit card so I can budget out what I'm going to spend for the month, and D has been asking me almost every single day if I can get her coffee before school, as I go very frequently. I'm going to be honest, it does bother me that she asks all the time, considering she has a bigger amount of money than me and she could easily just go get one herself before school, and she never offers to pay me back. So knowing this, I asked her if she could pay for the food at our hangout since I got her about 5 coffees this month without being paid back. She agreed at first and then said she couldn't anymore because she needs to buy a different friend a birthday present. I told her that my monthly allowance had run out and that I couldn't go anymore. She seemed annoyed, but I didn't want to ask if she was upset or bring up that I was upset. I feel like it's very selfish that she asks me for coffee almost every day but then won't pay for our most likely $20 meal. She also asks other people for coffee when I say no, and I feel really used just because I drive to school and she has a license and a car but her dad drives her. Update. She reluctantly agreed to pay after I told her I couldn't go if she wasn't paying and to answer some questions. The coffees are about $7 each and I do get myself one too when I get her one, and to be clear, she has had my back in the past and paid for big expensive meals once or twice when I really had no money. She hasn't been asking for the coffees for very long, only about a month or so. Not the asshole, but come on. You do realize she is using you, right? Stop saying yes. Seriously. Stop wasting your money on a fake friend who is using you for free coffee. Not the asshole. I had a friend like this many years ago, except it was rounds of beer. It went on for a bit until I just directly said, "It's your turn to start buying. Every other round is yours, or you can have water." He was pissed for a bit, but got over it. If you can be taken advantage of, someone will find a way to do it. Not the asshole, since she never pays you back and seems to see you as a ATM. Well, at least you know for next month not to buy her any more coffees. How much are the coffees you buy her? If it's $4 or $5 for fancy coffee, I can see how that would add up quickly. Info. You mentioned that she's paid for very expensive meals for you in the past. In your entire friendship, who do you think has spent more money on the other total? No is a highly useful word you should begin to use more. No, I won't buy you coffee, you never pay me back. Simple. 90% of the words you wrote here become not needed. Sure, Jessica, I'll grab one for you. Go ahead and pre-order on the app and I'll pick it up when I get mine. Am I the asshole for making my mom uncomfortable for skipping my birthday? I am turning 22 in June, but my family's birthdays are all bundled up in spring. Last year, my mom told us to pick a restaurant to eat at and we'll go on the nearest Sunday. We did Red Lobster for my younger brother, Steak and Shake for my older brother, South Point Buffet for my dad, IHOP for my mom, and this seafood boil place for my sister, pretty pricey but super good. I wanted to go to Cheesecake Factory. However, my birthday is on June 30th and I had drill from June 26th to July 10th, Marine Corps Reserves. Call me weekend warrior all you want. Because of that, I figured we'd go on the Sunday I got back. After all, it was my 21st birthday. Before we were about to leave, my dad gets called in to work, doctor. After that, my mom insisted that she'd make it up. I don't know if it was because money is tight or scheduling, but she kept pushing it off. By the time August rolled around, it didn't even come up anymore. Now, my younger brother's birthday is coming up and we're going to an Asian restaurant. My mom was talking about how last year was so nice and I said, for everyone else. I don't know why I was feeling bitter. She asked me, you didn't like the restaurant you chose? I responded, we didn't go to the restaurant I chose. She insisted that we went out for my birthday, but I said, you're the one always taking pictures, can you find the one for my birthday? She looks in her phone's photo album for last year. She checks June, then July, then August. Nothing. She sees everyone else's birthday, but mine never showed, because there was nothing to show. Later on, my dad called me an asshole for making it seem like they didn't care about me. I told him I knew they cared about me, it's just something that slips through the cracks. I don't like feeling this bitter. I'm an adult now with plans of moving out, so I don't know if I should or could let it go. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Everyone's birthday was so lovely, includes you. They didn't celebrate you. All you did was point out the truth. Sometimes the truth is painful. And also, I like the gloss over the insistence that they went out for your birthday, even though they didn't. Maybe if they say it enough you'll think it happened, right? Not the asshole. Your dad's response was weirdly aggressive. Is this a pattern? Do they often treat you differently than your siblings? It's easy to read your story and tell you it's not a big deal and you'll feel better if you let it go, but I would personally want to sit down with my parents and talk to them about this more. Though only you know if they're capable of a calm and rational conversation. Not the asshole, they're the assholes for forgetting your birthday dinner. You were really flexible and accommodating and they just didn't seem to make it a priority. Dad is especially the asshole for deflecting and making you feel bad. Did anyone in your family even apologize? I'd recommend making plans with friends this year who will actually remember. And if your family gives you crap about it, remind them that your birthday dinner never happened. Not the asshole. Did they expect you to lie about it? Do they expect that there will be absolutely no consequences for skipping an entire birthday for one child? Yes, shit happens, but you also have to apologize when that shit happens. Take responsibility for your actions. She made herself feel like shit, you only pointed out the facts. Edit a word. Not the asshole. You pointed out the truth calmly. Everyone else got their birthday, you didn't. That sucks, and it's okay to feel bitter. You didn't say they don't care, just that it got forgotten. That's not cruel, it's honest. Not the asshole, and I don't even think your response indicates that you're bitter about not getting to go to your restaurant. More so that when you pointed it out your dad made up a story in his head. That you don't care about them, and decided to believe it, and that he moved on from your point to his false narrative. Meaning your situation didn't even get addressed properly.